Hey, what's up guys? It's me, ThePsychNPDavidC. So becoming a psych nurse practitioner has been great and all, but there's a lot of things I wish somebody told me before I became one. From the challenges that no one talks about to the lessons that made me a better provider. Let's talk about it. So starting with number 5, paperwork and documentation are never ending. If you thought you had to document a lot as a registered nurse, you have to document a lot more as a nurse practitioner. There's progress notes that you have to write for every patient encounter that can take up to like 3 Microsoft Word pages. Like even if you see a returning patient for like 5 minutes, it takes way longer than that to actually document the visit. Like you have to document what they say, your subjective findings, your objective findings, your assessment, your plan, your prescriptions. It's hell of a lot more than the documentation you have to do as a nurse on your patients. And then there's also paperwork and documentation you have to do outside of those patient visits. Like there's a lot of patients who will come to you asking for like disability forms or like work excuse forms. The disability forms take forever to fill out, so hopefully you get compensated for doing those, because if you don't, it's gonna suck spending so much time with that and not getting paid for it. And then there's also other things like pharmacy refill request forms. Like sometimes I'll get a fax from a patient's pharmacy requesting a refill, even though that patient is gonna see me in like 2 days. So I have to go in the PDF form and, check off deny and then fax it back to them. And these get sent to me a lot more frequently than I would like. If you ignore them, they're probably just going to keep faxing you the same thing over and over. A lot of pharmacies will send these requests electronically, but there are a lot of pharmacies who still do the old-fashioned way of faxing paper. So in the beginning, it's going to be really rough knowing like what to write for all these things, but eventually you'll become more quick and efficient, but it's still a lot of paperwork. And then now there's also AI, which will help you with documentation, but we're not going to get into that. That does save you time as well, but it's still a lot of paperwork in the end. And number 4, telehealth isn't as great as people make it out to be. There's a lot of people who want to become psych NPs just because they hear they can work from home. For the most part, working telehealth is amazing. Like you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to wear pants. I will admit, sometimes I don't wear pants when I see my patients. You save so much commuting time. You save a lot of gas money or electric pumping, whatever car you use. And it's just a lot more flexible for you in general. But it does come with a lot of drawbacks too. Obviously, there's less in-person interaction. Like you're not even greeting like the receptionist or your coworkers. You're pretty much by yourself. It's harder to do assessments on your patients because you can't like see their whole body clearly, which also means building rapport with them can be harder as well. But yeah, honestly, the biggest problem is that doing telehealth can make you feel very lonely. Now you might be thinking like, well, why don't you just go out with your friends on your days off or something? Some people don't have friends they can see very often, so that doesn't apply to everybody. I would definitely not recommend doing 100% telehealth because you're probably gonna get depressed. I would try to go in person like at least once a week just to like socialize. So yeah, telehealth sounds really convenient and good on paper, but there are drawbacks to it too. And number 3, you need to have emotional resilience. Now, if you've worked in psych before, this isn't as big of an issue, but if you're going into psych for the first time, sometimes your patients will like test you. You're gonna be working with patients who have like a lot of trauma, or maybe they have a severe mental illness, or they can just go into like crises sometimes. Some patients will test your boundaries for sure. I have one patient who keeps messaging me through the online portal system, and I purposely don't respond because I don't want her to keep messaging me outside of business hours. Right now I work Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, so if she messages me on like Thursday, I will not respond until Monday comes around. You really need to leave work at work so it doesn't like take over your life. And then there's also going to be patients who just don't like you as a provider, or they're like unhappy with your care. You shouldn't take it personally, but sometimes it does affect you a little bit. And then there's also going to be some patients who are very complex. Like they have multiple mental health conditions as well as medical conditions, and everything you try like just doesn't seem to work at all. So you just like don't know what to do. So you need to be pretty strong emotionally. It really helps to like talk with coworkers, which would definitely be easier in person. Have your own support system at home, like family or friends you can talk to about it. And you definitely need things to do outside of work, like hobbies or like exercise. So yeah, if you're gonna become a psych NP, you really need to be able to handle that emotional load. And number 2, you need to be business savvy. Now this applies more to 1099 independent contractor nurse practitioners, which means you don't actually work for the company that you're with, you're just like contracted with them. So in a sense, you're not their employee. I worked as an independent contractor for a company, and there's a lot of things I didn't know that I had to do before I signed the contract. So first off, you have to like make your own business or corporation. Like you're literally opening your own business, making a business name, getting a business bank account, registering your business with the state. So yeah, basically right now I'm technically the CEO of my own company and I'm the only employee in my own company. And then as the CEO of your company, you have to do your own taxes and pay your employees their own salaries, which means I'm paying myself a certain amount of salary. Yeah, it sounds super weird, but that's actually how it works. At least that's how it is in California, because that's where I live. And then you have to like do your own taxes. And this isn't the same thing as like doing your annual taxes of like TurboTax or something. Like there's a lot of other stuff you have to do. I found it easier to just hire a CPA, which is like a tax person, to just do all my taxes for me for my business. Basically, he just tells me what I need to do, when I need to sign, what I need to fill out, and he handles the rest. But yeah, if you're planning to work as an independent contractor, you're gonna need to know all of these things. I definitely wish someone told me about all this stuff before I started. And number one is just the heavy responsibility and liability. As a nurse practitioner, you have so much more liability than a registered nurse. And sometimes an NP position isn't going to be paying a lot more than an RN position, so you have a lot more liability for a slight increase in pay. As a nurse practitioner, you're going to make huge decisions for your patients. Like you're expected to make a diagnosis. If you misdiagnose somebody, that's on you. You're going to prescribe medications. If the medication doesn't work or it's not appropriate, that's on you. If one of your patients goes out and does something crazy after one of your appointments, they're going to look back at your notes and like what you did, and they'll try to see if you had like any malpractice or anything like that. As an RN, you feel a lot more safe and relaxed outside of work. But as an NP, it's going to feel a lot more tense since the stakes are definitely higher. Like my psych RN job was like super easy and super chill. I went home without like any care in the world about what I did at work that day. But as an NP, it's pretty stressful. I get worried about certain things I did for my patients, just in case something goes wrong and they try to blame me or something. So yeah, you really need to be like confident in your decision making, because there's a lot of responsibility and liability. So yeah, that's my top 5 things I wish I knew before becoming a nurse practitioner. If you're thinking about pursuing a career as a nurse practitioner, I hope this gives you like a realistic picture. If you have any other questions about it, you can leave a comment down below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. I am also on TikTok and Instagram if you want to follow me over there at ThePsychNPDavidC. And with that, your mental health just leveled up. You're welcome.